he couldn't recreate Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
Which is why Aladdin Sane is so interesting.
The bizarre follow-up.
Yeah. So, Aladdin Sane follows up the album. Obviously a play on words.
Yes.
And David Bowie famously said that Aladdin Sane might as well be subtitled Ziggy Goes to America.
Yeah.
Ziggy Goes to America. So it's almost like the Spiders and Mars are on tour. And the album reflects that because it actually was recorded while they were on tour.
Yeah.
So in between, David Bowie doing David Bowie things, they recorded the album Aladdin Sane. The biggest addition to Aladdin Sane is, I always forget his pianist's name, but the addition of a piano.
Yeah.
And not just like a standard like blues piano, it was like a free-form jazz piano.
A really weird piano, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest addition to the record. I think the difference between the two albums is noticeable pretty much instantly.
Yeah.
But Watch That Man feels like it could belong on Ziggy.
Watch That Man. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like it could belong on Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
The sounds are obviously a lot bigger than
Yes.
Ziggy Stardust.
It sounds like it has a much bigger budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like the last one was well recorded like on a shoestring budget.
Yeah. So Ziggy was sort of the breakthrough album. This was sort of his follow-up. This was his first one as a megastar. Apparently this sold 100,000 copies in advance.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, one of the big releases of 1973. Are you looking at it now on Wikipedia?
Yeah, 1973. Yeah.
1973 would have been, dominated by this. This is a more rocky album, not as poppy.
Yeah.
It's more rocky, more weird, but more out there.
Yeah.
It's got that free-flowing piano going through Aladdin Sane, the title track.
Oh yeah.
1938, 1970 something. Oh no, what is it?
It's 1913, 1938, 1907? Question mark.
Yes. I think you can definitely tell that he's done a lot more drugs.
Oh yeah. You can tell that America's got to him.
Yes.
Ziggy Stardust is almost quite quaint in comparison.
Yeah.
It's kind of a more dark, deprived world that Aladdin Sane paints. Watch That Man is basically about an orgy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, better watch out for him. He's a bit,
He's a bit of a shit.
He's a bit of a shit, yeah. And like a lot of the touring Bowie did, he was seeing America for the first time. He was looking out his window. A lot of songs are about that.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, the title track is Watch That Man, which I love the opening riff, like bam 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 bam.
I think though you can tell, like, apparently that Bowie wasn't happy with the mix. The vocals were too low.
Yeah, you can.
You can definitely tell the vocals are way too low.
Which is weird because the rest of the album's not like that, is it?
It's because it was recorded piecemeal on tour.
Oh yeah.
So bits of it sound weird. There's also, like, I heard that there's a harmonica buried in one of the songs, and I listened to the song again after that and just couldn't hear it at all.
No, I can't. No.
Yeah, it's weird.
The mix is really weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it sort of adds to the charm a little bit.
I think so. I like how it's almost more like rough and ready than Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
So like it's.
Because he basically wanted Aladdin Sane to be a separate character.
Yeah.
He isn't. He has no characteristics.
I saw that thing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, famously, David Bowie in this period was trying to almost escape the Ziggy Stardust character. Like Ziggy Stardust had played his course, and that was going to be kind of it.
Yeah.
But for a long time, he kind of struggled to get rid of the image.
Yeah.
And I know, like with Aladdin Sane, it was almost like he was maybe a character somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Ziggy Stardust growing up, maybe. Don't know. So Watch That Man is followed by the title track, Aladdin Sane, which is just weird. Up to this point, there's not been a David Bowie song like that.
No.
And this is when the...
Ooh, baby. Really weird...
I love Aladdin Sane.
Yes.
Battle cries and champagne. Yeah, it's... I love the piano on it.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. It's... I don't know how to describe it. So it's almost like it's freeform jazz piano playing, especially that solo at the end. The rest of the band have just got like dun 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 dun. But basically, he's just going nuts. He's just going nuts with the piano. It's
yeah.
And David Bowie's vocals are just they're mystifying.
It's a weird song. I really like it, mate.
I love it.
It's not one of his best songs, but it's great. Then you've got, is it Driving Saturday?
Driving Saturday, I love this song.
This is one of the sleaziest, weirdest vocals of all.
Yeah.
The vocals are so weird on this song.
Put your arms around my head. Gee, it's hot. Let's go to bed.
Yeah.
Don't forget to turn out the light. Don't laugh, baby. It'll be alright.
What a weird, this is a weird
it's
song.
It's great, I love it.
It is a great song.
It's so sleazy and kind of weird, and you can almost feel like the dank sweat of the room, and David Bowie trying to make it like a really nice event.
But it's also done in a doo-wop style.
Oh yeah,
like, doo-doo-wah.
Yeah. I love the kind of the bridge because it goes like, his name was always Buddy.
Yeah.
As he cried like a thing, and he'd sigh like Trick the Wonder Kid. He's uncertain if she likes him, but she knows that she loves him. It's a crash course for the rapers. It's a drive-in Saturday. The lyrics, his vocals are just phenomenal.
They are. What else have we got on this bizarre album?
Panic in Detroit.
Panic in Detroit. Okay.
It's alright, yeah.
Yeah, it's alright.
It's not one of my favourites.
No, it's okay. It's just a standard sort of glammy rock song.
Yeah. Cracked Actor.
Oh, this is a good song. You're cracked, baby, cracked. Tell me you're real. Great song.
Cracked, baby,
again, he's maybe just a comment on Bowie.
Oh yeah.
His cracked actor status with Ziggy.
Yes. And all the different personas that he feels he has, and
yes. Yeah. And I think the next one's Time.
Time, I love
one
this
of the most bizarre Bowie songs ever.
It's almost like pantomime.
I also love the line, Time sits wanking on the floor.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, what's the next bit?
No, it totally stops then. It goes like, it goes wanking.
Wanking on the floor. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's so over the top and silly.
Creepy, silly. That describes the whole album, really.
Creepy and silly.
Yes, yeah, creepy and silly.
Yeah.
Then we've got another cover.
No, it's a Prettier Star next.
Oh no, I can't remember this at all.
Prettier Star.
I only listened to this album a couple of days ago. I've heard it a lot before, but that's my recent one.
It's okay. You know, I quite like it. Not one of my favourites, but I quite like it. That is the cover.
The Stones cover.
Let's Spend the Night Together, which I prefer this version to...
Never heard the original, but this is a good song.
Yeah, I only heard the original coming through the Aladdin Sane version, but like I love the opening where the piano's like dun 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 dun. It sounds like he can't quite play the song, and then he kind of works it out. But he's like, oh yeah, here we go, yeah, let's spend the night together. But it almost feels like the whole band's gonna break down at some point.
Yeah,
which is what I really like about it. I love the kind of ramshackle kind of production to it. Then it's probably the album's most famous song.
Well, yeah, it's by far the most.
Yeah.
This was a big single.
Big one. Yeah.
A lot of people know this song anyway.
Yeah, the Genie.
Love's on his back. Sort of another portrait of a sort of libertine, debauched figure.
Yeah.
The Genie.
That's
I don't really like this song.
I actually really like it.
I think that it's, musically it's a bit boring. It's just that one riff. I think it's also very dated. It sounds like it could be T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then it's got one of my favourite Bowie songs on it.
Lady Grinning Soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another jazzy album, another jazzy song.
Yeah.
Don't you know? It's got that weird bit where he's like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at this stage, he's already a master of vocalization and... but like, if you look at Aladdin Sane overall as an album, it's such like a step away from Ziggy.
It's a mess, really, as well.
It's borderline a mess, but it's one of the things I really love about it.
Yeah.
It's actually, when I was listening and really getting into David Bowie, it was actually one of the last ones I came into, because I think Aladdin Sane has a bit of a mixed.
Well, even Bowie himself says it's not as good as Ziggy, and it's just a retread.
Yeah. I'd say it's almost got like a mixed positive kind of reception.
It's on Rolling Stone's top 500 list.
Yeah, but it's one where people kind of, I don't think, are talking the same breadth as I think most people own a copy of Ziggy Stardust. Not as many own Aladdin Sane. No. Even though that album cover image of him with a lightning bolt over him, that is one of the most iconic album covers of all time. But I think it just shows more of the variety that David Bowie could do. He wasn't just a one-trick pony. Yeah. As if the previous 5 albums had improved that already. He's come a long way from the Laughing Gnome.
I would give this album a 9 out of 10.
I give it a 9 out of 10, yeah. Yes. No, that's fair.
Even though we said a lot of the songs were okay, I think it really gains as a full listen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really like maybe about 7 out of 10 of the songs.
Yeah.
The other 3 I can, they're alright. They're standard Bowie songs.
Yeah.
Which is probably better than most people's.
Yeah.
So if you want like a live documentation of this period, listen to Live at Santa Monica.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
You want a less good version, listen to the Ziggy of the Stardust.
Which I have the collectible edition of with a ticket in it.
Yes. The soundtrack to the movie by, I think, Penbaker made it.
Oh, yeah, the Dylan Man.
Yeah, the Dylan Man, yeah.
It's D.N. Penbaker, yeah.
Yeah.
D.A. Penbaker, yeah.
And this was a record of the Spiders from Mars final performance. Basically, the Spiders from Mars had a massive falling out with David Bowie.
Yeah.
Basically, the drummer wasn't told that he was fired.
Really?
Yeah, like everybody else knew except for him.
Oh, no.
So he was presumably on tour in America on a plane, drinking champagne, and David Bowie basically said, "You're fired, you're going back to Hull." How depressing.
I know.
And I think he had a bit of an argument with Mick Ronson as well, or something. But it's such a shame because, they were such a creative force, but, David Bowie being the man he was, he wanted to move on to the next
Yeah.
thing.
They were, other than Eno, probably his best collaborators.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So famously, this final performance, I think the film was just to record the final day on the tour. That was it. This historic final day of this huge, massive tour, which everybody loved. But then David Bowie made the shock announcement that
he was retiring Ziggy.
Yes. And some people took it as David Bowie himself was retiring as well.
Yeah.
Like, this is the last show we're going to do. Not just on the tour, but ever.
Yeah.
And apparently it took a lot of people by surprise. The drummer didn't know.
Yeah.
Apparently Mick Ronson but pretty much everybody knew except for the drummer and the bass player.
Yeah.
That was going to be like the final performance. But I think looking back now, it was probably time.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what a follow-up album would be. With the Spiders from Mars. Like, would we get weirder?
God knows.
But I think at this point the tide was turning on the whole glam thing. It was almost time to move on.
Well, glam got eventually eaten up into punk.
Yeah.
Because glam, short riffs and like 2-minute songs was pretty much punk.
Yeah.
Without any of the anger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of glam rockers would have probably been beaten up later in the 70s by like Johnny Rotten wannabes. Yes. I think this is his second best period after the Berlin trilogy.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes.
So it's a hugely important era in music history, not just in terms of the music produced, which is brilliant, but just culturally, artistically, aesthetically, what it did for people basically around the world.
Yeah.
There'd never been a star quite like David Bowie up to that point, and he was almost like... he was constantly innovative, he was constantly surprising people. I think even Aladdin Sane probably at the time took a lot of people by surprise. How do you follow up an album like Ziggy Stardust is the question of the album.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite answer it, I think, but it does a pretty good job of following it up.
Yeah.
Whatever it's doing. So from here, he's going to enter the kind of...
weird phase.
Yeah, before... the soul funk era.
Yeah.
He kind of enters into
isn't it what's it? Oh, Pin-Ups and Diamond Dogs.
Pin-Ups and Diamond Dogs, which I've got a lot to say about Diamond Dogs, but we'll probably get onto that another time.
We'll get to that next time. So join us for Pin-Ups and Diamond Dogs.
They're the two weirdest Bowie albums from this period.
Yes, these are sort of the two the orphans of the period.
Yes, yeah. The borderline disasters.
Yes. That nearly derailed his career.
Yeah. But
let's see what we have to think of them.